Hey everyone, it's Pastor Ben. I hope you're having a great Wednesday morning so far. Just a quick update, we are still planning on having in-person services this Sunday, May 10th, and we are taking steps to make sure that we are going to have safe greeting, safe seating, and safe communion and offering. If you want more details, there have been announcement videos that we've released on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. I encourage you to check those out as far as what in-person services will look like this Sunday. Again, if you are high risk, if you are over the age of 65, if you've had some concerns about your possible exposure this past week, or if you're just generally not comfortable with meeting in this way yet, or especially if you're experiencing symptoms such as a high fever or a cough, please feel no obligation to come. We invite you to join us through our online services that we will still be offering in these coming months. But today we're going to continue our series studying the Lord's Prayer. This last couple weeks we've been going through the Lord's Prayer line by line and looking at what it would look like to incorporate the elements of the Lord's Prayer into our own prayer life. So we started this series off talking about what it would look like to spend time praying the Father's character, and then the next day we talked about what it would look like to pray for the Father's kingdom to come and His will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. After praying for the Father's kingdom, we talked about what it would look like for praying for the Father's provision, for our daily bread. On Monday, we talked about our need to pray for the Father's forgiveness so that we can take that forgiveness and pass it along to others, to forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. But today, I'd like to talk about this next line, praying that lead us not into temptation. And so today I'd like to talk a little bit about what it looks like to pray for the Father's leading. Now, this is something we have to regularly pray for because I know it's so tempting for me to default to my own leading in my own life. You can look at my calendar or my planner, my to-do list, and you can see just how naturally it comes for me to be the one who plans what I'm going to be doing in the near future or even in the distant future. I'm the one who wants to be leading myself. I want to be the one setting my own paths. And I know I struggle with this. I can tell that I struggle with this because of how upset I get when my plans, when my schedule gets interrupted. And so what we have to do is constantly be asking for the Father's leadership, because if we do not have the Father's leadership in our own life, when we default to our own personal leadership, what often happens is we end up leading ourselves into temptation. So we ask for the Father's leadership so that He will lead us not into temptation, so that we can steer clear of any active sin or the temptation to not do what God has called us to do. So what I would encourage you today is during your prayer time to break out your calendar or your schedule or your to-do list or however you plan out your life in the coming days. I would like you to open that up, and I would like you to pray over that calendar, pray over that schedule, and I want you to give God permission to interrupt and hijack your plans. I want you to give Him permission to interrupt and hijack your plans. I want you to give over the leadership of your life from yourself over to the Father and allow Him to be the one who leads you. And the best way you can do this is by giving Him permission to interrupt and hijack your plans. We need God to interrupt our plans. We need Him to interrupt our daily routine. And when He does choose to interrupt our daily routine, we need to see those interruptions not as crises to be averted, but as opportunities, unique opportunities to do His will. And then we also need to give Him permission to hijack our plans. See, our plans aren't always bad. They aren't necessarily inherently bad. In fact, I would argue if you are Christ-like and earnestly desiring to be like Him, you might find your plans more godly than not a lot of the times. But we need to give God permission to hijack our plans. He needs to be the reason why we do anything. Maybe on your to-do list you have some chores that you need to accomplish. Maybe there's a room that you want to clean out. And that's great that you want to do that. But give God the opportunity to hijack that plan. And maybe instead of cleaning that room so that you could feel better about yourself and feel better about your house, you clean that room in order to invite someone else into it the way that Jesus has invited you into His life. We clean our rooms of our house, and we make our house nice so that, not so that we can feel great about ourselves and enjoy it selfishly, but so that we can share it with each other. And I would encourage you to give God permission to hijack your plans. Allow your plans to have a godly reason behind why you do them. And if there's no godly reason behind some of the things you have planned out to do in the near future, maybe you need to entertain the possibility of changing some of those plans. But give God permission to interrupt and hijack your plans so that we can follow His leading. Because again, if we follow our own leading, we will more often than not end up being led into temptation. So we need to surrender our leadership from our life over to the Father so that He will lead us not into temptation. That's all the time we have for today. We'll be releasing a video on Friday, and then we'll be in person on Sunday. I'll see you then. Bye.